back and they never could stop it. It's stuffed in my pocket. Go up for the score and they never could block it. After the show, I count up in the mind.
Right. Hello and welcome to Rhody Rumble, episode 3. My name is Adam Bernstein. Of course, my co-host, Montana Verselli. Today we're joined by our very first guest on the show. We're honored to have Ivory Frimpong. He's a member of the URI He's a member of the URI football team and wide receiver. He's also a founder of Think Gold Media, which is an online community that inspires people to think gold and, of course, value themselves and become a better person. Ivory also has his own podcast, Think Gold. You can find that on Apple Podcasts. Ivory, how are we doing today?
I'm good, man. Appreciate the intro, Adam.
Big Ive. Big Ive had a big day in the weight room today. I'm gonna say that. So Block B or Block C, I should say, of workouts today. We're doing bench press for speed, and Ivory on his first real set. So we do a warm up set for 10.
Gassing me, bro. You're gassing me.
We do 6 for 3 after for speed. Ivory basically starts at 225, and everybody looks at him and goes, "You're gonna tell me that this kid's about to do this for the first set?" And guess what? He succeeds.
Easy money.
He had it. Ivory, he's deceiving because he has nice long arms, but his bench press is just unreal.
What are you trying to say? I look skinny. I look small. What are you trying to say?
No, you don't look small, but you're elongated.
Just say I look small, huh?
Yeah, it is a little bit.
You didn't think I was gonna be able to do it 3 times, huh?
I meant for the first set. I thought you were gonna die out towards the end. Like you weren't gonna be able to get up there. You know what I mean?
That's messed up, man.
You've been working backwards. All right, Mr. Bernstein.
All right. Well, I guess that leads us into the first question. So you're obviously going into your senior season. So how do you best prepare yourself for a big season?
How do I best prepare myself? I think just training. You know, I think there's only one way you can prepare yourself, just to work hard and to be consistent with it. Just like anything you want to do, just like creating your own podcast, you got to be consistent. So I think just stacking the days up, and then when it comes time to have that big podcast, or for me, come game day, you look back and you're like, I put in the work for this, so I feel good. So that's just a big thing with me, just stacking those days up and just being consistent with it, staying on that consistent grind.
So this week, our first 2 days, our first 2 real practices of the year in helmets. Now, in helmets, we know that it's a different speed. It's about tempo. It's about technique. It's not about the physicality yet. How much mental preparedness will go into it for you as we enter these first 2 days of fall practice?
So, I mean, I feel like it's different for O linemen and D linemen specifically, because y'all are in the trenches. So when we're just in helmets, like y'all basically are not doing nothing. Y'all can't really improve that much. It's really minute on the little things. But like as a receiver, I mean, I don't like contact. We don't like contact out there. So when we're running out there, it's like we're pretty much practicing already. So the only difference will just be lining up against the defense. And so I think, blocking will be interesting, and, being able to catch passes and, get up the field and stuff like that. But I think I've already prepared myself, these past 4 weeks, like I'm already in real practice, if that makes sense. So like I've already prepared myself. And I go into each practice like thinking, it's game day. Someone's lined up in front of me, whether I got a helmet on, whether I'm in no helmet, whatever I got on. So,
yeah. How different is it? And I guess this goes for both of you. Preparing starting now, whereas you normally would start like into the summer because the season's pushed back now to the spring. How different is it, like the training?
So weird.
It's a lot different. I just say that preparing, it never really stops in a sense, because we were still meeting virtually, and we were still responsible to do our part to get ourselves physically ready, just in case, because we didn't know that we weren't going to have the season until like August. I mean, we didn't know that, so it was on our part to still get prepared to play and keep our nose in the playbook and keep our bodies healthy and strong to compete in the CAA.
I think that, and like we have to stay focused for longer. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to have our mind focused on football for now, summertime, springtime. It's going to be the winter time now, and then back to fall again. So it's like it's completely different. It's just weird, like not being able to play right now. Like we should have played Saturday, but it's just weird. Yeah.
I mean, we'd probably be like 4 or 5 games deep into conference play and probably like 7 games total.
Wow.
Yeah.
Looking into we basically have like 3 or 4 weeks left of the regular season, and then like everyone's goal is make it to the playoffs and do what they got to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can think about it as it gives you more time, allows you more time to really prepare for the season. Now that it's pushed back, so in a good way.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we got a new offense too, and a bunch of new coaches. So I feel like out of all the FCS program, or all the CA programs, like we're benefiting the most from this time. So I feel like with this new offense, new coaches, we'll have more time to get used to them and have more time to establish, our new game plan moving forward.
Definitely.
I want to talk a little bit about what brought you to Rhode Island. All right, Centerville fucking VA boy, straight out of the gutter, Alexandria, right? No, what are you? You're Alexandria.
Yeah.
Are you Norfolk County? Which one are you?
I'm Fairfax County.
You're
Fairfax.
Fairfax.
Boy, come on now, 2 up, 2 down, boy.
Oh God. This morning I talked to you this morning. Me and Ivory took a nice walk this morning, 5:45, and
It's dark outside.
real dark. But Ivory stopped and took a picture. Took a picture of the dark, but it was actually very beautiful out. So now that you see that beauty of Rhode Island, when you were coming into college, what was the real Rhode Island's where I need to be?
I mean, just like when you came over, we were having that conversation about like, I wish I knew what I knew now, like going on these recruiting visits. Like, when I was going on my recruiting visits, like, I was just mesmerized by anything and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember coming down here and, well, first things first, like in high school, I had a 1.7 GPA. And my senior year, I needed to get all A's and B's, basically all A's and like 1 B to pass. And I remember Coach Confessor came in to meet with me, and he took me inside like one of these empty classrooms, and he like wrote up on the board. He was like, all right, you need an A in this class. You need an A in this class. You need an A here. You're going to get 1 B. He's like doing the math in front of me. He's like, all right, that leaves you at a 3.2. All right, just available to qualify. And I'm like, yo, this dude, like, he really likes me. Like, he's out here calculating my GPA and stuff for me. And so, I finally went on the visit, and they put me at the Aquablue Hotel right by on the pier. And they put me right by the water. And I was like, yo, this is amazing. Like, wow, I'm about to go to school on the water. And, like, the seafood was good. The coaches were mad nice. Like, everybody's, coming up to me like, yo, you're going to be the man here. You're going to do this and that. And so I was just kind of mesmerized by it. And also, too, like, my favorite place to be is by the ocean. Like, I'm literally, my view right here, I'm looking at the ocean right now. I can't show y'all right now. But I just love the ocean so much. And so the biggest thing was honestly the ocean and then joining a young team. Because at the time, like, I think this was Big Flem's second year.
Second
So I felt like I was going to be a
part
of something.
His first season was 2014.
Okay, so it was like his third year. So I felt like I was just joining a new team, a fresh young team. I was going to be a part of a culture shift, and that was exciting to think about.
Yeah, definitely. What would you say is the biggest difference from, like, for you personally, from Virginia to Rhode Island?
Ooh. So I live in Northern Virginia, and so that's right next to Dulles Airport. And Dulles Airport is like, a lot of people come in to travel to D.C. and stuff like that. So I think the biggest thing is, like, when you get off Dulles Airport, you see a variety of people. You see, like a lot of Indians, Spanish, Asians. You just see a variety of people. And I remember just coming off of like the airport in this area, and you don't really see that much diversity in a sense. But throughout the years, like from my freshman to senior year now, it definitely became a lot more diverse. But I just say like the diversity and the type of people that are around here is the biggest difference.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Segueing still through football. So now you're a senior, okay? Things have changed. you've seen a lot of faces come through the program. What do you say the biggest difference is between when you first arrived on campus to now being, 21 years old, basically a new head on your shoulders, and you're ready to kind of attack what's next, which is, now a spring season?
Yeah, like, what do you think the biggest thing is that I've learned?
Yeah, like, what's the biggest thing you've learned, and what's, like, the biggest difference between then and now?
Yeah, man. I mean, there's a lot. I think for me, just getting my priorities in order. Like freshman year, you're kind of focused on just like fitting in so much and, trying to be cool and, trying to find the parties and stuff like that, trying to see, how many girls you can be with and all that stuff. And I think as you get older, you start to realize like, all right, you're here at college. Like you actually want to use this to make a difference and to use your education to do something for your life. And I think that's the difference between a lot of college students at university and stuff like that. It's like, which path are you going to take? Are you going to, party your 4 years away? Are you going to take advantage of it? And I think as football players, like us specifically, like we only look at playing football in college. Like we don't look at playing football and doing other things. And I think that's when, Think Gold came to my mind, like sophomore, going into junior year. And it was like, you know what? Like, yeah, I'm a college football player, but I want to use this time to be more than just a football player. Like I want to establish networks. I want to go on podcasts and create things and get involved in media. And so I guess to answer your question, just prioritizing what really matters in my life. And I think when it came down to play football, I think I was more focused and I was more clear-minded because I didn't have all the other things, all the extra stuff, like, like worrying about smoking and drinking and all that stuff. So that answers your question.
Adam, you want to segue into Think Gold?
Yeah, no, that's a perfect segue. So you built up this amazing community online, like you said, inspiring people to be their better selves with Think Gold. Just talk a little bit more about that, where you've gotten with that and where you plan on going, the success that you've had already with that so far.
That's crazy. So I always say like Think Gold really like fell into my lap. Like it wasn't something that I was just like having to think so hard about. It just came to me. And I remember reading this book called Championship Mindset, and it was talking about like Olympic athletes and how they train for the Olympics. And if you're an Olympic athlete, the Olympics comes every 4 years. And so when you go to the Olympics, like you're not thinking to get silver or bronze, like you're I'm gonna get gold. You know what I'm saying? It's like when an NFL team, gets ready for the season, you're not concerned about the playoffs. You want to win the Super Bowl. And so that's where that Think Gold mentality came from. And I was like, yo, this would be an awesome name for a podcast. And first thing first, I started interviewing like the most impactful people in my life. And one of them was a pastor. Another one was a teammate of mine, Amir Dorsey. And when we would talk on the podcast, we just talk about life, spirituality. And like, Amir Dorsey had an amazing story where he talked about his father going to prison for like all of his young life, just how he had to deal with that. And I just heard like amazing things that you wouldn't normally hear. And I think that's kind of what inspired it. Just bringing new perspective to people and hearing more deep intellectual conversations that you wouldn't normally hear.
Now, Think Gold has now turned into, I think, a way of life. As I've talked to you, I think, over the past couple of weeks. And, we kind of talked about, morning routines and how do you use that Think Gold mindset as you go upon your day? You know what I mean? From the time you wake up to the time that you fall asleep.
Yeah. So, I mean, I could sit here and tell you, I'm always thinking gold. Like, I'm always at the top of my game. The truth is, like, I'm not. And that's why a morning routine is so important. Like, I know you were telling me you wake up at 4:30 every morning. I never knew that. I was like, yo, what in the world? But just, I think habits and routines is like the number one most important thing if you want to be successful in this life. What do you do every morning? And then do you do that every day? What do you do every night before you go to sleep? And then do you do that every day? And so I think those little things really set you apart because we're humans. Like we have a knack for routine. And if you don't have a positive routine, it's naturally going to be negative. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the biggest thing. So I wake up, I read, I meditate, I read my vision. You know, I have a clear vision on what I want my future to look like. And so I read that a lot. And then, you know, like I hold myself accountable. So I know, you know, I want to be thinking gold all the time. So I always ask myself, like, Ivory, am I thinking gold right now? If I'm not thinking gold, why am I not thinking gold right now? What can I do to think gold? And also too, just like that social media presence, like when you put yourself out there on social media, like it has this effect to where like you have to do what you said you're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Like if you say, I'm going to release a podcast this Saturday and your followers are all waiting for that, like you have to follow up on that.
Yeah.
And so I like posting stuff on social media and just letting people see how I am in my life, I guess. So
Definitely.
yeah.
So you talk about like being motivated and following the schedule and asking yourself, like, do you think gold? Are you thinking gold right now? But has there been anyone in your life, or is there someone that has motivated you or pushes you harder just every single day?
Oh, definitely. I think for me, you know, I never really had the biggest support system like within my family, but I always seeked other people. So like I have, you know, like I break in my life into like categories, you know, like you know, there's my faith, there's athletics, there's, you know, my spiritual life. And so I kind of have like a mentor for each one. And then I'll just, you know, call them up on the phone. They'll call me up and they'll always just check on me, hold me accountable. But I think that's what it is for me, just having different accountability partners for each category of my life.
Now you know, you break up your life into all these different thought processes. Which one do you rank, you know, the most important, or are all of them important in their own sense?
That's something I battle with because obviously, you know, as a football player, you put football above everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really trying to organize it to where it's like God's above everything else and football, you know, family, school is below that. But, you know, we're getting ready for a season, so it's hard not to say that football is not a priority right now. But if I was being honest, I say, you know, football. You know, just all the time you put into football is crazy.
It is. It's true. I remember having the conversation with you the other day, and you were telling me about Sean Antoine, and it's like, man, these coaches, you know, they put a lot of pressure on football, and it's hard in your brain, you know, and I know that, you know, every athlete kind of battles this, like, man, like, I wish I had a little bit more time for this, a little bit more time for that. But it's that lock and it's the commitment. Like, when I think of commitment, I think about a lock being locked. You're locked in. And you kind of have to battle out in your mind and make all the time for, all right, I'm going to do this, this, and this today. And these are the goals I'm going to set. And, you talk about football being your top priority, and I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but I was doing a project at Ivory's house last Monday. We could go today. And I asked Ivory to go use the bathroom. I go to use the bathroom, and I look up, and it's a big mirror on the wall. And he has his goals written on it. And, you know, I'm thinking to myself, man, like, I'm really glad that I befriended this kid because he's committed. He has goals. He looks at them every morning when he wakes up, and, you know, this is what he does. You know, and he has a dream, and he envisions it, and he wants to go the mile. And, you know, I just think just from that perspective that, like, you know, you can be committed to different things. You know what I mean? You're able to lock into, you know, multiple things at once. And it's going to be hard at some point, and you're always going to face adversity. But, you know, I feel like with football, we're trained to be able to overcome that. Mm. And a lot of it just is with sticking it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like a reason why I love football so much, and I was telling you about this, I feel like people don't play football just because they love football. You know what I'm saying? They love the feeling that football brings them. Like, life is based on emotion. So, you know, what emotion do you feel generates when you have a podcast? You know, what emotions are you seeking? And a lot of it, if you really think about it, stems from, like, what were you missing as a child? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do people love scoring touchdowns so much? Why do they love being praised? Why do they love all the attention? And then it goes away and it disappears. But football is just a true testament of life. Mm-hmm. And it's the truest testament of life. And I think it's so important just to have this in my life, particularly because it gives me discipline. It gives me a foundation. It gives me a family. It gives me so much. And I was thinking about when we were on that Zoom call and Coach Flem told us, you know, season's canceled. I was like, dang, what am I going to do now? I was like, I was on this routine. I was training every day. And it's like, my discipline just went out the window. I was eating junk food, going out a little bit. And it was just like, why am I going to go to sleep early now? You know what I'm saying? It was just like,
Yeah.
but
That
that brings out but then you think about dudes like, Jerry Rice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The day after he won the Super Bowl, he was in the facility training. That's like another level. Insane right there.
Mm-hmm. That's the mentality to want to be great.
Exactly.
And no matter what you do, you can be great at whatever you put your mind to. And that's the truest testament to it all. I mean, I have a picture right here of me and my brother, right here. And it kind of blurs because I got my boy Adam Sandler, right?
So Adam Sandler.
My homeboy Billy Madison sitting in the second grade class.
Yeah.
But, my brother always preached to me, you can do whatever you want in life as long as you work hard. You know what I mean? As long as you put your mind to it. And, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And in order to be the best, you got to train like the best. So that's the whole, that's the mind, that's the attack. You can do what you want to do as long as you're willing to put the time in to do it.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Exactly.
You got it right here, right in the eye, boys.
For sure.
So, you talk about how football is your priority and how you have all these goals set for yourself, but where do you see yourself in the future? What are your plans after college following this season? You want to continue to try and play football or continue to take Think Media to another level?
Yeah.
Or to another level?
So another opportunity that came from, the coronavirus was me getting another year eligibility. So I'm a senior, but technically I'm a redshirt senior now. This is going to be year 3.5 for me. But, I definitely want to, I have this mentality where it's like, all right, I was able to get a scholarship, so I might as well put it all into my talent and see how far I can take it. You know what I'm saying? And so when it's all said and done, I can be like, I gave it all I have. And so I definitely feel like I have a good shot at, playing in the NFL. I don't know how long, but I definitely want to take advantage of that opportunity. And then I definitely want to develop Think Gold some more. But to be completely honest with you, I don't have it all planned out right now. I still feel like I have a lot more people to meet, a lot more opportunities to gain. And I think that's what college is about, just setting up those networks. Because I might not have an idea for my future, but someone else may have it for me. And I can come across them and we can, mastermind together. And so, yeah. I don't have it all planned out right now, but
yeah. Can you talk a little bit about, your mentality about how God put me here for a reason? About the conversation that we had the other day, when you were like, I think God told us that I think we were on the phone for forever that night. You know what I mean? Just talking. And
when I was talking about, he put us in at this university.
Yeah, not this university, but you're like, man, I think God, God meant for us to have this conversation.
Oh yeah. Because I remember it was just a long week of practice, and I was just in that mode of football. And I remember calling you, and you're telling me about how you wake up at 4:30 in the morning and you go to sleep at 9, and every night you watch a Disney movie. I was like, yo, what did
you watch last night?
So I've been watching a lot of Boy Meets World. So I started it last Thursday, and I'm watching every episode. I love the show, man. I think it's one of the best scriptwrites ever. It's great. But also, my favorite movie right now, because it's Halloween time, Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus, never seen it.
You guys are missing out.
I haven't seen it either.
What is going on with you guys?
That's a Disney movie?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on. It's just a bunch of Hocus Pocus. You gotta wait for the Virgin to light the candle.
But I remember us talking on FaceTime, whatever, and just your whole mentality was when I get home, I like taking my mind off of football.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like thinking about it. You're telling me you watch Disney movie and you just, you watch stuff about just anything to take your mind off of football. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I kind of want to adapt that same belief in a way, because I feel like I spend too much time thinking about it. And so I kind of did some things in my routine to change it up a little bit. And I was just thinking about I really feel like God, because we had that conversation because we were working on a project together.
Yeah. And
just the odds of us being in the same class, and then you telling me about that, I was just I feel like God, wanted this conversation to happen. This is something I needed to hear. I'm constantly thinking about football. I want to hear some other stuff. What can I do to take my mind off of it? And you helped me out with that a lot, bro, to be honest with you. Really did.
Definitely. You gave me a walking partner now in the morning.
Yes, sir. For like old people.
Yeah, for real. It's funny, though. Me and Ivory out there this morning, and I swear to God, there was no one out there below 55 years old. Maybe on the walk back when it was closer to like
How early was it? It was like 4:30, 5?
5:45 we met each other.
It was like 5:45. Yeah.
Okay.
And then we probably walked for like a half hour maybe. So I think like 6:30 I got back in my car.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time we saw someone that might have been under 40. So
They get up early. I guess Division I college football players and people over 55 get up at the same time.
exactly. You know what? One of my biggest pet peeves is when people complain about an 8 a.m. I just got to throw that out there. I got to throw it out there. I don't know, Bernstein, if you've ever had an 8 a.m.
I'm taking one right now.
Do you not like going to it?
I mean, it's on Zoom, so I'd kind of just like lean forward, open.
Did you have one last semester? This semester?
I had my first semester freshman year was an 8 a.m.
Did you dread getting up and going to it?
A bit, because like in high school I like to sleep in, but I definitely find that I'm waking up a lot earlier now in college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was blowing up Bernstein's phone this morning on my drive to football practice, and I must have called you like 3 or 4 times. You didn't answer.
Yeah, I got like 4 or 5 missed calls from you.
And I must have called you at like 7:30.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I mean, it's just crazy. Like I remember living on campus, you kind of get a different experience. I just remember waking up I'd get up at like 5 o'clock still, like in my first semester of college before you walk down the facility, like around like 5:30ish, I'd walk down. And I'd be like, man, like these kids still haven't gone to sleep. I'm like, that's different. That's something else. You know what I mean? So
I feel like when we go home for breaks and stuff, like we're just conditioned to wake up early.
yeah, you do it.
Yeah, man.
But it's good because it keeps you going. You know what I mean? It keeps you in that mindset, to get things done that day.
Exactly.
It's important too.
So this is kind of like switching gears a little bit, but what advice would you give to someone who's a young athlete or someone who's motivated, wants to get involved in sports, whether that's the media or just playing, just any kind of advice that you give to someone looking to get into it?
Well, I have a lot of advice. I say just determine right now how far you want to go with your sport, and have that vision for what that sport's purpose is for your life. If you play basketball, like what impact do you want basketball to have on your life? Are you doing it because of popularity, fame? Are you doing it because you want to go to the league? And then think to yourself, like, why do I love this game that I play? And I say that's the biggest thing, especially for high school athletes, because if you're going to play college, you dedicate way more time to it. And if you don't love the sport, then you're going to end up quitting. And so I just say establish that healthy relationship with your sport.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
100%. Definitely.
Yeah.
And what do you say so far was your biggest adversity that you had to face with football?
My biggest adversity?
Yeah. Now this is just with football.
Just with football? I'll
How
probably
did you
say,
overcome that? Like, how did you take the step to overcome that?
yeah, I'll probably say my sophomore year when we were playing James Madison University, and I had made a horrible error, to say the least, that really cost my team the game. I think in my eyes, it was a huge factor in costing my team the game. And yeah, that was rough. I remember going to practice that next day, and it was just like I didn't want to be there. Like I remember waking up, I just wanted to stay in my bed, and I just felt like everybody just didn't like me because I made that error. And I think it just made me have to look at myself and just be like, you know what? I just have to use this as more motivation. I'm either going to use this to get depressed and down, or I'm going to look at this and be like, all right, this is more motivation. This is part of the plan. And so I just chose to look at it as part of the plan. And yeah, how I look at it, how I perceived it.
Definitely part of it. And with being an athlete, I feel like the eyes are on you 10 times more. So, you watch any game, any NFL game, any college game, big-time college game. I remember when I would watch, what was this? It was a couple years ago. I remember watching a Patriots game, and I remember watching Tom Brady fumble the ball. I was like, man, this guy really just fumbled the ball. And this is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time that ended up going on to win a Super Bowl that year. And now you look at it this year, and he had his, the fourth down, the attention to detail thing.
Yeah.
The fourth down, the third down, he didn't know. And, those are, I think, are the mistakes that people, are like, oh, you can't have those mistakes. But in the end, they're bound to happen.
Yeah.
Because it's extremely hard to be able to go and, go through season after season without, a mental error that will be exposed eventually.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, you also keep playing the game because, you learn from those mistakes. And you can't have a fear of failure because failure is what's going to catapult you from here to here.
Right.
And keep going down the line. And as long as you want to keep playing, or keep your face in the game, you're going to have to battle those, day in and day out, whether it's an injury, mental mistake, physical mistake. You can deal. I always remember Coach Wheeler, would always tell us, I can deal with the mental mistake right now. You know what I mean? I can deal with you not knowing which way to go, but do it at 110%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're going to go left, do it at 100%. Sorry, guys. I got a little some things are going on.
Got the girls blowing you up, man.
But you know what I mean? 110%. And let me mute this real quick. Sorry, boys.
Yeah, if you think about it too, my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off, Adam.
No, you're good.
I was just saying, if you think about it too, like, we always think that we're going to be defined by our mistakes, but like 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years, like nobody's going to be thinking about that. And even on a bigger scale, like 10, 20 years from now, like nobody's going to be talking about the type of college, high school athlete you are. Nobody cares about that. You know what I'm saying? So that would be some good advice for a younger athlete as well.
No, I think another thing people forget is that whether you're an athlete or whether you're someone in the media or a fan or anything, we're all people and we all make these mistakes. And like Mo said, like you're only going to get better from making these mistakes and you can't fear failure. So yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Exactly. I got that fear of failure thing from the Pistons, the Bad Boys 30 for 30. Bill Laimbeer was the center. This is like one things I really remember from this doc, and he goes, I had a fear of failure, and it catapulted me, but it held me back. You know what I mean? So it was cool to kind of hear him, a guy who won, an NBA title. I'm pretty sure they won it 89, I think. To see him say that as one of the best centers to ever play basketball. Say, man, I had a fear of failures, and I think it might have held me back a little bit, or it might have held our team back, but it kept me going, and I think that's pretty interesting. So, I was thinking about that. Keep going, but don't be afraid to make the mistake.
Yeah.
If you're not afraid to make the mistake, then you're a go-getter. You can be ambitious and go get it, and take what's on the table.
Yeah, I think a lot of great athletes have that fear of failure mentality. You know what I'm saying? And it hurts them, but it also helps them in a way too. I know looking at like dudes like Mike Tyson, he was terrified to lose. He talks about it all the time. He always talks about like, oh, I was terrified I wasn't going to be shit and go back to Brownsville. I was scared, man. I was scared I didn't want to lose, get my ass kicked. But like, that's real, bro. Like that fear of failure, like drove him, he was a fucking animal, fucking dog.
One of the best. I mean,
you know what's interesting about him? He was like, you know what? Like, I was an animal, but on the inside, I was terrified. He was like, I was so scared. I was terrified. I'm like, yo, man. Didn't seem like it.
Another quick thing to throw in there, quickly. We were talking about music past couple weeks, me and you, Ivory. And I know Adam has a pretty interesting rap on music also, so I definitely want to talk about this a little bit. I know you've been bumping that Stretch and Bobbito 1995 radio mix with Big L and Jay-Z.
Vibe with it.
When you listen to that, I don't know if you have taken this angle yet, but do you hear like that young, gritty flow? Like, man, I'm gonna go. I want to get it. I want to take what's on the table.
Of course, 100%. Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know, Adam. I don't know if you've ever heard this before. I don't know if I ever sent it to you, but I will after this show.
Definitely.
But I think we can relate that to any other thing in life. And, to hear Jay-Z, he was either like 20 or 19 at the time, 18, something like that.
He sounded different.
He was young, ambitious, and ready to go.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you think about him putting out, the Blueprint 3 where he had New York State of Mind and Gangsta Ambition, and he had so many good songs, past like that 2005, 2008, 2012. He had no Church in the Wild, which was, gritty too. And, it's good to see a guy or to look up to one, I look up to him a lot. Seeing someone that started off young, gritty, and ambitious, and as he got older, he took the time to focus on the game and see what he wanted to get out of it, and is still a go-getter years later. What I mean? He never lost that, man, I'm going to grab that. I'm snatching that. I'm taking this moment. This moment's mine.
Yeah, I think a lot of artists let the game use them.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jay-Z's a prime example of using the game, because a lot of these artists are just here for phases. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a very small window, and then once that window's over, it's like you're gone. Like I remember, man, my best friend in high school, one of my favorite artists is J. Cole, and this dude's favorite artist in high school at the time was Lil Pump. He's like, yo, Lil Pump is so much better than J. Cole, bro. Like he's so much better. Like he makes way better music. And I'm like, bro, like Lil Pump feeds off of just kids doing drugs, like thinking they're, hood, you know what I'm saying? Like he's not gonna last. He's not gonna be here long because he has no foundation. And did y'all ever hear that J. Cole 1985 song?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, he bodied Lil Pump, and everything he said was so real in that song. So real. And I think that's kind of like, why Jay-Z is so good, man. He just didn't let the game use him. He uses the game.
Mm-hmm. I think that's the mentality that a lot of kids use. Like I remember going to talk to like some high schoolers and seeing them I'm only 2 years removed, but being able to see them, where they're at, I feel like, not just in our society, or not just in like, football or sports, whatever, but I feel like in our society as a whole, kids are a little bit more conserved. They're not willing to take that stand, are willing to be able to, go take what's theirs, go take what's on the table.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is because of some of the culture that might be around them, and some of the pop culture that is being influenced just isn't what, I think we grew up looking at 90s, like 90s guys and early 2000s guys that were, punch you in the face if you mess with them kind of mentality. And I think that's what kind of helped us go from here to here, kind of go to that next level. And I feel like it's being a little bit lost, and I feel like it's just becoming a little bit softer, when it comes to attitude and, playing with your own, chip on your shoulder, playing with your own swag.
Yeah.
And, I think that's something that needs to start to be reinforced. And I think that's how you make individuals. That's how you make, your own individual. You're not copying anybody. You're yourself. You're your product of what you want to make yourself.
I was watching this documentary. I don't know if you guys seen it, called The Social Dilemma. And it talks about how, our society is basically like addicted to social media and how like social media like tracks everything we do. I remember talking about how like social media has made the new generation of kids take less and less risk. Like they're afraid to take risks now. And also things like, people are getting in and out of relationships faster than ever before. And I think that contributes to kind of like what we're talking about, because people aren't taking a lot of risks. I think a lot of people in our society are like super comfortable with what they have, and they're scared to like go for what they want. I don't know. I feel like back in the day, like way more people were just going after what they wanted. Now it's kind of just doing what your neighbor's doing, doing what you see on social media. It's like everybody's chasing the same thing, and it's like kind of just putting on that persona. I think maybe now it's because people are doing it for clout, quote unquote clout. I think that's a big thing,
Yeah.
It's so hard to find someone who like creates something just to create it for the good of the world, And now it's like people create things just to get feedback, just to get notoriety. And I feel like when you do that, like you're not going to last. It's just not going to happen. And so I think Jay-Z, I feel like I don't think he was chasing any of that. I think he was just chasing to be great. And I look at dudes like, J. Cole. Like, I don't think he's chasing the rap game for money. I think he's really chasing it because he wants to have that impact on people. And I feel like the best artists are the ones that want to just change the world. And you see it, man. Like Michael Jackson, like all the goats in the music game, man. They wasn't chasing clout, bro.
Yeah, I feel like this generation just grew up just being used to like social media and like what you mentioned, chasing clout and everything. What they hear on the radio, what they see on TV, that's all they know. This generation. So that's like, you talk about they don't just chase their dreams. They just do everything for the clout and do like whatever everyone else is doing because they want feedback. And I think it's interesting because like, I mean, we're a little bit more mature than like kids growing up now, but like maybe in a sense we're also doing that kind of thing, but we're also trying to reach that goal that we have for ourselves, like playing football or starting a podcast and something like that. So it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, we're definitely, just as I talk about it, like I'm a part of it too. You know what I'm saying? Like we're just a part of that culture because it's in us. Like
right.
It's just natural for us now. Like this is the society we live in.
It's scary. It's crazy to think too. You know what I mean? I remember like I was listening to talk about J. Cole for a second when he said that when he put out Neighbors. It's like I think the neighbors think I'm selling dope. But then he ends it with motherfucker I am. But if you take away I think the neighbors think I'm selling dope. Like he says motherfucker I am, and like you are who you are. You are who you put yourself out to be. And I know like there's this Philly rap group called OCD Motion Twist, and he goes, I ain't too proud of who I am, but I'm proud of who I'm becoming, and I promise I'm gonna hit the ground running. And that's just having that whatever's in the past already happened. But you can study it as much as you want so it doesn't happen again. But your eyes are in the future. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't really know what's gonna happen. I mean, it's kind of like there's a blind wall in front of you. So you kind of have to duck down under every wall, but there's something on the other side of that wall.
Yeah.
Or like PJ Fleck in Minnesota, he is like, I row the boat. I won't lie to you, when I was a sophomore, I was 2,000% row the boat. And I used to say row the boat to my mom all the time. She used to be like, what does that mean? I remember explaining it to her. But, I mean, it's so true. Like, you can learn from the past as much as you can, but you got to keep going. You know what I mean? You are who you are, and what's going to happen is what's going to happen. And, it's that character that you've built up over time is how you're going to handle the adversity.
Yeah. That's so true, man. You know the backstory of the Neighbor Selling Dope song?
No.
How he actually wasn't selling dope, but he had he was like recording music, and he would always have like different artists come in every day. And the neighbors thought that they were like drug dealers, like coming in to sell drugs, and really they're just recording music. And obviously they'd be smoking weed, making music and stuff like that. But like the neighbor called the cops on them, and like the SWAT team came in and like raided the house just to see that they were like making music, and that's why he made that song.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah.
I liked what else you said about what project he was recording when he rented out the mansion.
Dreamville,
yeah. Because Dreamville and like it was like 30 bedrooms or whatever, and you just turn them on to studios and
there's like different producers just competing for like a song.
You call me, and that's that competition. You know what I mean? That we talked to, that we were just talking about. Like you have this opportunity, this door's open. Like it's up to you to go get it.
Exactly.
There's nobody else's choice except for you to go and snag that.
For sure.
That's a great way to look at life too. Like competition, no matter what, whether it's athletics or anything in life, you're always going to be competing for your main goal.
Exactly. You got to keep on going, man. Keep rowing the boat.
You need competition, man. It's just going to make you better. Imagine if there's no competition in this world.
It would be.
Everyone would just get what they want.
Yeah, it would be lame, man. Nobody would be great, Michael Jordan wouldn't be Michael Jordan.
Nobody. I feel like nobody. I don't think anybody would do who they are without competition. I mean, you look at any you think about school or people who might be some of the best astrophysicists in the world. Like they have competition against one another to work, and it's healthy competition too because you're working together.
Yeah.
I think that in football we see this a lot, or in any sport, college, high school, whatever. That's competition. That's healthy competition. You think about a big game. We think about the Brown game. That's our rivalry. That's our big competition. who's going to run the state for that year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's our competition. We think about that. We chase that goal. And that competition is what keeps us, intertwined. We think about practice every day. We go out there and compete. We encourage each other at the same time. But when you step up there, you know what I mean? When you're doing a one-on-one with the DB, I mean, you and Rhody are out there on the outside, and you guys are doing your one-on-ones.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are making each other better, even though you're still competing.
I think it's good to know, that you need competition. But I think overall, like, you have to realize that your biggest competitor is always going to be yourself. Like, no matter what, your biggest competitor is what's between your two ears.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the driving factor in your life. And if you can overcome, because the only one who can beat us is ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, having anxiety when you go up to, have a public speech, like, that's yourself doing that, and then you have a bad performance. That's yourself doing that. If you can overcome that, then you're on your way to greatness, man. And that's why we always have to be competing against ourselves day in and day out.
Mm-hmm. So Stephen Mook, who is, your pastor, when you're up here, he's your pastor, right? Your pastor.
Yeah, yeah, he's in pastor.
That's New Generation, correct?
You said what?
His thing's New Generation.
Yeah.
Generation, yeah. So I remember you talking about him, and I know him from growing up here. But you were telling me this morning when we were walking, you were like, he called me at, one day. He was like, just keep going, keep running. What did he say? Keep running? Was it keep running or keep going?
He just don't stop. He said, don't stop.
Don't stop.
Yeah. He said, don't stop.
When you think about Pastor Mook, like, what's that effect that he's had in your life? I know that you're very big in religion and you're big on faith. How does he, when you listen to him speak, how does that affect you and how does that help you keep going? I mean, don't stop.
Yeah, I mean, I think for, just like I was talking about, like, having different categories of my life, I think you have to have, like, that standard for what you're measuring your life to, and I think for my spiritual life, like, I can look at him as an example of who I want to become spiritually and religiously. And man, his energy is just out the roof. Like, it's crazy. Like, he's really, like, insane about Jesus and God. Like, it's crazy. Like,
he loves it.
He just has so much energy. It's like he's coked out. Like, he's just coked out. But he's amazing. It's just like, at first you're like, yo, is this dude okay? Is he all right? But then you see that every day. And you're like, all right, that's just who he is. Like, wow, I love that. Like, he's so authentic. I remember we were having service, like, on the corner of Burnside Ave in Narragansett outside. And, like, he's preaching. He's, like, waving at the cars going by, like, jumping up and down. He's like, let him hear Jesus, like, going crazy. And I'm like, yo, he's amazing. And I think something that he talks about a lot is, like, his relationship with his wife. Like, he has an amazing relationship with his wife. And he's just always open and talking about it.
They've been dating since, like, they were in high school.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
I remember him throwing up a picture on his Instagram. He was like, mine since 2000 or something like that. Man, like, that's amazing.
That's dope to see too. So I remember, like, he asked his wife to, like, pray over me. And he was like, yo, help Ivory find a wife, find a beautiful woman. And he got his wife to pray over me for that. So yeah, she on her way. But yeah, man, he's really amazing in my life, man. He's a good dude, and I urge anybody listen to this to hit up New Generation in Rhode Island. Look it up on Instagram, man.
They're awesome. Girls, for a second. What do you look for in a girl? What do you look for in a lady?
In a girl, man. I mean, first things first. Like, things are gonna get you in the door. So I think she has to be beautiful, attractive. That's for sure. But once you have that, it's like, all right, what's next? And I think of mentality. How do you think? What is your beliefs towards life? Like, are you a glass half full or glass half empty type person? Because that could really have an effect on your relationship down the line. So I like open-minded individuals, like down to earth people, and people who just love life, and yeah.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
You know what? You can go first, Bernie.
Well, I mean, obviously the same thing.
Definitely
personality. Definitely someone, again, I probably would agree. And I was going to say, we need more people in the world like this, down-to-earth people who really get you and understand. And I feel like sometimes there aren't like, I sometimes think that there's not always like enough good people in the world because,
Yeah.
you know, we always hear like, we always see the news headlines and we always see like the attacks and on different groups and on different countries, just in general with world news. And I always think like sometimes like we really need more good people in this world, and like, you know, it's a matter of like really figuring out who is a good person and who is not. But I think it's just that we have enough good people in this world, and that the people that make these, you know, make these headlines, make these differences, and are doing not, or they're doing bad for the world, they're just smaller people who are louder with their voices. But I think there are more good people in the world. But when I look for, I mean, specifically with a girl, I mean, yeah, again, someone who's down to earth, someone who, you know, cares about me, obviously, and like personality is everything. Obviously, they got to look good too, but you know, just someone that is really a good person.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, definitely a good person. I think one major thing for me is someone that you're compatible with. You know, somebody that, you know, when you're right here and they're right there, you're able to mesh, and it fits like a glove. And it's not always going to feel like a glove. That's why you have adversity. You have to work through that so it can, you know, you can fit like a glove eventually. And I definitely think just someone that I'm compatible with, an understanding person, and a person that's committed. You know, someone that has a beautiful soul and a beautiful mind, and you know, understands their purpose in life, or is someone that's really trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? And you know, doesn't like to hang their head. You know, someone that keeps a smile on their face every morning when you wake up. Smile. You know, I don't know if I told you this, Ivory, but that's like one of the things I do too. I force a smile when I get up out of bed.
Force that awkward smile.
You gotta force that awkward smile, man. You laugh a little bit.
I saw a quote once that was like, if you don't have one smile a day or something like that, then it's not a good day. Like, even if it's just one smile, like,
Yeah.
you know, I think it really makes a difference.
Yeah. You know what Zoe said to me the other day?
Wow.
We were talking about relationships. Zoe said something really good to me. He said, I'm gonna try if I can sum it up. He said, you know, you have to make your mind, like the furniture in your mind has to be comfortable so someone else can live in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you have a relationship with somebody else. And that just made me think, you know, like I think in our society, people rush into relationships because they're insecure, you know, like they want to be in a relationship so they can feel better about themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they go in a relationship because they feel like they can't live without this other person. And it's like a lot of people these days like aren't good at being alone, you know, it's hard to just be with them and their thoughts. And I think it's important to first, you know, love yourself first and be able to make your mind comfortable for someone else to live in. And so, yeah, man, I think that's a priority first. You know, work on yourself before you can just jump into a relationship. You know, are you someone that you can love? You know what I'm saying? If you don't love yourself, how you expect someone else to love you?
Right.
So, how can you love another person?
You said what?
So how can you love another person?
Exactly.
You know, I think that's a big misconception too. It's okay to be single. You know what I mean? Yeah. My grandma says it all the time. You know, you don't have to be like, my grandma got married when she was 18. She dated my grandfather since when she was 14.
Jeez.
And, you know, she always jokes with me. And my grandfather, you know, may he rest in peace, he used to always say, like, oh, you got a girlfriend, you know, stuff like that. And my grandma would be like, Byron, stop it. Like, he's so young. He needs to talk to everybody.
That's always how it is. The man's always like, you got a boyfriend, and the girl's always like, no, stop it. Stop it.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So, I mean, and I think that's one thing too. That, you know, with confidence and being eager to go out and grow as a person is talking to people. You know what I mean? Yeah. The more people you talk to, the better perspective you have on life and on different situations. So, you know, I think it's extremely important to be able to talk to anybody. I mean, I remember when I was in high school, I used to talk to the underclassmen all the time. You know what I mean?
What?
I would talk to, not like talk to underclassmen or whatever, but like, you know, I'd say hi to them. I'd just see how their day's going, see what they're interested in, you know, what they're doing that day, like what they're doing that night, if they have a game. And, you know, it helps you because it helps complete your mind and it helps you get different looks on things that might be going on. Like I remember I used to ask, you know, a couple of my friends, you know, that played soccer, girls soccer or basketball. I used to be like, you know, how do you feel about tonight's game? You know, I used to drive, you know, 3 kids to school they're 2 grades below me. And, you know, I remember I used to talk to them all the time. Like, how do you feel about your volleyball game today? Like, what do you think is going to happen? How do you feel about the soccer game tonight? Like, are you feeling confident? Did you guys prepare well? Like, what do you think you guys did good? Like, what do you guys think you can do better? You know, and I think that it helps younger people, you know, expand their mind a little bit and focus on things that are more than just, you know, whatever's in front of them. And
Yeah.
I think that that's a time, like high school is a time where, you know, to kind of help develop yourself and see what avenue you want to go down and how you look at things and how you can look at things from a different angle.
For
Everything's
sure.
3D. I always think of everything in my life as 3D, and you can look at it from so many angles.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Agreed. Life's about perspective, I think, and there's how many people on this world, and everybody has a different perspective. Like, I think a big thing in life is just working to have the right perspective. You know, it's like it's constantly being shaped. And I think when it's all said and done, you know, when you get towards the end of your life, like you want to have the best perspective of your life. You want to be looking at things the best way and at the best angle. And I think that's why we go through so many journeys and lessons through life, so we can be shaped. Our perspective can be shaped.
We'll say it. YOLO. Only live once. It's corny, but it's true, yo.
Yeah.
That is true. So
I feel like another way I look at life is like, obviously, you know, YOLO, like you mentioned it, but I mean, that's the way I look at like my life, especially. And like, I think everything happens for a reason. I'm a big believer in that. Like, I think, you know, especially you guys being athletes, but myself, even I've had my own personal challenges, like with my health and other things. But, you know, I just think everything happens for a reason. Like, you know, there's a reason why we're here at URI, there's a reason why, you know, everything. And I'm just starting to see that more and more every day. And that's just, you know, something that I look at my life through. As I go through life.
It's hard to like know that it's happening for a reason, like while it's happening. But it's like always when you look back at it and you're like, you know, that happened for a reason, you know. But I think getting through it is a hard part, you know, and all the feelings that comes with that. But I think if we can just tell ourselves like during the moment that, all right, like I'm going through this for a reason. Like this negative thing that's happening in my life is not happening to me, but happening for me, you know? So I think that's real, man. Things do happen for a reason.
Yeah, and we don't always know what that reason is, like you said. But I mean, like I even look back, like just I'll be sitting around and I'll just like look back on something that happened a few years or a few months back and be like, wow, like I finally start to realize like why that happened, or maybe like if that never happened, then I wouldn't have done this. So, you know, it's definitely something that helps me, and I think like more and more people need to start realizing that like everything does happen for a reason. Like you're not going to get every job you apply for, you're not going to make every team you try out for, stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was a blast.
Definitely.
So, Ivory, thank you so much. Adam, you got anything left to ask? Anything
I'm good.
I'm
good.
Ivory, you got any? Ivory, give the people the last words. Your last words.
Last words.
Inspiration. Leave them with it.
Shoot, man. Thank gold. And if you listen to this, man, have a blessed day. Chase your passions. Life is so short. You know, do what you really want to do. You know, there's no time to do something you hate, man. You got one life, so you might as well do something you love with it.
You heard it from the man. You heard it here first.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Ivory Frimpong.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Out here. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, yo.
Yes, sir.
That was the rumble. That was the rumble for the week.
All right.
Stay blessed, y'all. Keep in contact.
When you left, I ain't wanna live life. Now I'm happy on the in and outside. Throw it out, watch you come back. Got a hole in the Rex in the